Alright, what's up, y'all? We back. And we starting off right here with the Dawes role in the Department of the Interior in the matters of the application to Jackson Powe for identification of Mississippi Choctaw, consolidation this paper, this colleague, which is his son, uncle, for the Dawes Commission, identification, the testimony of Jimmy Slay, original application of colleague Powe before the Dawes Commission for identification of Mississippi Choctaw, certified copy of marriage license of C.W. Powe and Della McIntosh, affidavit of James Collins, and decision of the Commission denying the application of James Powe for identification of the Mississippi Choctaw. Let's get into it. It says, what's your name? It says, Jackson Powe. How old are you? 38. How much Choctaw blood have you? I claim about a quarter. What's your post office address? Buckatunna, Mississippi. What's your county? Wayne County. How long have you lived in Wayne County? Lived there always since I've been born. Is your father living there? Is your father living? No, sir. What's his name? Wesley Powe. Is your mother living? No, sir. What's her name? Jeannie Powe. Through which one of your parents did you get your Choctaw blood? Through my mother. How long has your mother been dead? She's been dead about 14 years. How old was she when she died? I reckon she was about 54, 50, 45, or 50. Where was she born? She was born in Wayne County. She lived there all her life. Yes, sir. Was she a slave? Not as I know of. Was your father a slave? Not as I know of. Through which one of your parents did your mother get her Choctaw blood? Through her mother. What was her mother's name? Edie Slay. Did she have another name? Not as I know of. How much Choctaw blood did Edie have? My mother always told me she was Indian. I don't know exactly what kind of Indian. A Choctaw Indian. Did she tell you how much Choctaw blood she had? No, sir. Did you ever see Edie? Yes, sir. But I was small then. I can't relate her good. Where was she born? I don't know, sir. Do you know where she lived prior to your birth? She lived there in Wayne County ever since I knew anything. Where did she live before you knew her? I never heard tell of anywhere but there. Do you know the name of either Edie's parents? No, sir. You couldn't swear that she was a full-blood Choctaw, could you? No, sir. I could swear that my mother said she was Indian. Are you married? Yes, sir. How many times have you been married? Once. Is your wife living? Yes, sir. What's her name? Martha Powe. Has she any Choctaw blood? No, sir, not as I know of. You make no claim for her then? No, sir. Have your children living from whom you want to make application? Yes, sir. 6. What are their names and ages? Jimmy. How old? 14. The next one is Ulysses. How old? About 12. The next one, Charleston. How old? About 8. Next one is Augustus. Is that a girl? Or it's Augusta? Is that a girl? No, sir, that's a boy. How old is he? 6. Next one, Chester. How old? He is about 3. And the next one is Oregandi. Is that a boy or a girl? A boy. How old is he? About 6 months old. Are these children are boys? Are they? All these children are boys, are they? Yes, sir. Are they all 6 living with you now? Yes, sir. One of them isn't at home with me right now, but they live with me. They are all the children of yourself and Martha Powe? Yes, sir. Were you married to her under a license? Yes, sir. When? It's been about 15 years. Where? Buckatunna. Who married you? Elder Powe. A preacher? Yes, sir. Have you your license and certificate with you at this time? No, sir. It will be necessary for you to furnish the commission with proper evidence of your marriage to your wife Martha for use in connection with the application to make in behalf of your minor children. That should be furnished with their furnished at 30 days from this date. Question: is your name or the name on any of these children to be found upon any of the Choctaw tribal rolls in Indian Territory? No, sir. Not as I know of. Has any application of description ever been made for you or any of these children before today for the purpose of establishing your right as a Choctaw Indian? No, sir. Do you appear before the commission at this time for the purpose of claiming the right of Choctaw land in Indian Territory for yourself and 6 minor children under the Article 14 of the Treaty of Dancing Rabbit Creek? Yes, sir. Do you understand Article 14 of the Treaty of Dancing Rabbit Creek? The Treaty of Dancing Rabbit Creek was entered into the Mississippi on the 27th day of September 1830 between the United States government and the Choctaw tribe of Choctaw Indians. At the time of this treaty was made, the Choctaw lived here in Mississippi and along the western edge the state of Alabama. The object of the treaty was to get these Indians to move from the country occupied by them here in Mississippi and Alabama to the new countries west of the Mississippi River, part of which is now occupied by the greater portion of the Choctaw tribe of Indians and is commonly known as Choctaw Nation Indian Territory. At the time the treaty was made, some of the Indians were unwilling to leave this country, and for the benefit of those who wanted to stay here, that is known as the 14th article was put in the treaty. The 14th article provided that upon certain conditions, the Choctaw who wanted to stay here in Mississippi might receive lands here in Mississippi from the government. It is as follows. Each Choctaw head of the family desiring to remain and become a citizen of the state shall be permitted to do so by signifying his intention to the agent within 6 months from the ratification of this treaty, and he or she shall thereupon be entitled to the reservation of one section of 640 acres of land to be bound by sectional lines of survey. In like manner shall be entitled to 1/2 of the quantity for each unmarried children which is living with him over 10 years of age, and a quarter section to such children as may be under 10 years of age to adjoin the location of the parents is, if they reside upon said lands, intending to become citizens of the state for 5 years after the ratification of this treaty. It is that case a grant in fee simple shall issue. Said reservation shall include the present improvement of land of the family or portions of it. Persons who claim under this article shall not lose the privilege of Choctaw citizenship, but they ever remove are not to be entitled to any portion of the Choctaw annuity. I have quoted to you the 14th article of the Treaty of Dancing Rabbit Creek. Do you understand the 14th article? Yes, sir. Did any of your ancestors comply or attempt to comply with its provisions or receive any benefits under the article? Not as I know of. Did any of them own or improve here in the old Choctaw Nation in Mississippi and Alabama in the year of 1830 when the treaty was ratified? Not as I know of. Did any of them, in fact, live here in the old Choctaw Nation in Mississippi and Alabama in the year of 1830 when this treaty was made 71 years ago? Not as I know of, but they did. I'll show you. Did any of them remove to the new Choctaw Nation Indian Territory at the time of removal of the greater portions of the Choctaw tribe of Indians between the year of 1833 and 1838? Not as I know of. Did any of them within 6 months after the Treaty of Dancing Rabbit Creek was ratified let the agent of the government here in Mississippi for Choctaw known that they wanted to stay here in Mississippi and become citizens of the state and take land? Not as I know of. Did any of them ever claim or receive any lands here in Mississippi from the government of the United States under the Article 14 of the Treaty of Dancing Rabbit Creek? No, sir, not as I know of. Did any of them get any land here in Mississippi from the government under any other provisions? And a note of it. Did any of them ever get any money from the government? No, sir, not as I know of. So far as you know, when none of your ancestors ever received any benefits, whatever, as Choctaw Indians? No, sir. In accordance with provisions of Article 14 of the Treaty of Dancing Rabbit Creek, the government of the United States directed that the agent here in Mississippi register the names of such Choctaws as might desire to remain here and become citizens of the state and take land under the Article 14. The records of the government show that the agents failed to register and report to the government the names of many Choctaws who did in fact let him know that they wanted to stay here and become citizens and take land. And on this account, the government and its public land sales here in Mississippi in many instances sold land upon which Choctaws lived and had improvements and which they supposed they would receive under Article 14 of the treaty. This caused a great deal of complaint among the Indians, and in a matter was finally brought to the attention of Congress, and Congress passed certain acts between the year 1837 and 1842 providing for the appointment of commissioners to come down here to Mississippi to hear the cases of the Choctaws who claimed that they had been complied in all respects with the provisions of Article 14 and had been sold by the government. These commissions were appointed by the President of the United States, and they came down to Mississippi and heard the cases of the great many Choctaws. They held sessions here in this state between the year 1837 and 1845. Did your ancestors appear before the commission and attempt to establish their rights under the